there is a huge section that is still very patriarchal, where a male opinion also matters a lot more than a woman's opinion. And I've seen that around. So it happens. It's a mentality.
While there were films which were always written for, men in lead, the response to that can't always be now women in lead. There need to be characters who are men, who are sensitive. When we don't have enough women behind the camera, it is going to reflect in what is being made. And there is a direct connection.
We also need strong male allies, right?
Yeah, of course.
We need strong, sensitive, creators who are writing incredible fans, hiring women. And then we'd not have that problem. Then we won't feel like, oh, what's going to happen to women in theaters?
I'm not inclusive for people because it's a charitable thing to do. I'm inclusive because it makes my work stronger.
Welcome everyone to the O Womaniya Roundtable. I'm so thrilled to have such amazing artists in the room. O Womaniya is a report on women in entertainment. It's an annual report. It's presented by Amazon Prime Video. The research is done by Ormax Media. It's produced by Film Companion. The hope and the larger ambition here is, as Aparna said to us last year, to make the invisible visible. We hope these numbers will prompt conversation. We hope these numbers will prompt change. Let's start with the good news, okay? Happy news is that at this point, on this day, the most successful film in the world has been directed by a woman. Okay, Barbie, Greta Gerwig, 1.38 billion. Okay, so let no one ever say who wants to see women's stories. Let those words be banished. Now, closer to home, it's a little less pink, can I say. Here are the numbers of O Womaniya 2023. The report looked at 156 properties, 62 theatrical films, 38 streaming films, 56 streaming series. But the change from 2022 is notional at best. Percentage of HODs has gone from 10% to 12%, female HODs. Number of women in senior leadership in the top 25 entertainment companies has moved from 10 to 13%. And there is no positive change in the Bechdel test score, which is the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to ask a question that's very basic, but I feel we need to address it. Why is this change so slow, and what can we do to accelerate it? Zoya, will you get us started?
Okay. I'm honestly a little taken aback. I suppose I live in a bubble because I work with actually people like this, and it doesn't seem to feel. I mean, these numbers don't connect to my reality because I work on sets with a lot of women. I mean, we just did a show which is very female led with Aparna and Amazon, and we had out of 4 directors, 3 were female. Half our crew is female. So I guess it's a bit, I'm a bit taken aback. But what can you do? I mean, you can just keep putting out stories. You can just better your craft. You can just make those successful because that opens it up. I mean, I remember Farah coming and smashing that ceiling with a very mainstream successful film with a mainstream hero, and suddenly actors were looking to work with women, so you just have to keep getting out there, doing well, and hiring women, and it will change. I feel it has changed a bit, but then maybe I'm.
No, it has changed. It has changed.
Even I'm very shocked with those numbers.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think maybe we are feeling the change. See, the good thing is that we are at least trickling in the right direction, But I do feel that around me, I do see a lot more, I don't know what HODs, maybe that is less. But when we're on set, whether it's ADs, whether it is, so there is change. I do see a lot more women now on the sets. The percentage is probably lesser still. There's no equality yet. But small changes I mean, there was one film I've never seen have you ever seen a bone person be a woman? the person who's holding the boom mic. Like I saw it once and I was like, wow, and but the fact that I was so shocked and surprised is just a little sad, it should not be a surprise. So I feel slowly few things are changing, but maybe it's just really slow.
It is really.
Yeah. I think that's the issue right now.
Yeah.
We all are trying to, but there's only so much we can do with like in our capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Vic?
I'm with Zoe in the sense that I, at least in my reality of Jubilee most recently, my editor, my production designer, my producer, my composer, creative producer, all women. And yes, I think if I have to compare it to where I was in my first film, definitely that was much more male skewed. I think it's changed for the better right now. I think it's also a question of having more women HODs come through the pipeline into a place where cinematographers, for example, like there's production designers, and I think Zoe's always hired women production designers, but cinematographers have been an HOD that's female cinematographers are rare. It's like they were almost non-existent 20 years ago. They're still rare today. It's a question of where we are today, and we want to change that to be able to have more women in those places to be able to shoot the stuff through. That's just an example, I guess.
Yeah.
It's in every department, and we have to change. It's like makeup, for example, was 5 years ago, 6 years ago was I think the union had only
Men.
it was an all male union,
Yes.
which is a shock. I mean, I didn't even know that, and I think changing that has brought a little bit more. Again, my head of makeup was female.
But the hair union was all women, and men couldn't do hair. So there were different rules. But Anupama, to be fair, having said that, and I mean, I'm a woman, so obviously I'm going to want more women in the industry. But as a filmmaker, I'm going to hire the best person for the job.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to hire someone because they're a woman.
Yeah.
I'm going to hire the best DP that's going to tell the story in the best way, and the production designer that's going to understand this narrative in the best way. So having said that, it's tricky because you want the best person for the job. And yes, we have to open it up so more people come in and can excel on a level. But it's
But that's the point. It's like how many women cinematographers are there to be able, like right now?
What I feel is that there are two things. One is there's a historicity to the situation, because I feel to talk about today, we can't talk about it without understanding that for decades and decades, every single aspect of filmmaking, from production, marketing, distribution, exhibition, was controlled by men and had a patriarchal sort of structure. It's like many other industries. So first of all, we're coming from that space, and I feel even when we think about, say both of us, and we are directors now, but we really have done that whole thing of being assistant directors, etc. So I feel for HODs, I think the most proactive thing that we can do is encourage HODs to hire more female assistants.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way that the next generation will have very competent, trained people. Because it's also true that it's not like you can just be hired because you're female. You also have to be good at your job. But that training and that experience, I think, is very, very important. And I think that the cinematographers have set up an association, the women cinematographers, where the ones who are already working, they really try and nurture the assistants and help them sort of get jobs. So I think what we can do, from positions of working more actively, is really encourage hiring of women in, not even if it's not like the HOD, I feel it's like telling our HODs, guys, let's get more women, in your departments. I think that's
Actually, on last year's roundtable, Neeraj once said that it's the director's responsibility, to make sure that the set is inclusive. Hansal, do you agree with that?
I think being inclusive is one thing, but as Zoya said, you must have the best person for the job. And I feel the diversity of jobs that we have in the business is very wide. And we constantly look at one job that, we need a woman cinematographer or a production designer or an actor. there are many more jobs. Like I just did a film, which I shot in UK. My entire unit was female. So my gaffer was a woman. The light sparks, so the light men were all women. The
The light
cinematographer,
men were women, I know
Yeah.
that.
the light boys. He was like, no, so with those jobs, we've made them very stereotypically that only men can do these jobs. So there were women, holding lights, putting them up, putting filters on the lights. And I mean, the set had a different energy because I haven't seen it in India. It's very rare. The boom operator was a woman. And it was nothing unusual for them. For the entire crew, it was nothing unusual. We have to, understand, and I think then put out that information. We need to disseminate more information about the possibility of jobs. It's limiting to think that I can become a cinematographer and get only so much work. There's so many more jobs out there, and the fact that those jobs are not gender specific. I think we need to, work towards educating people on that, getting more people to be able to get trained on those jobs. You don't have to be just a script supervisor or a assistant director. There are so many more jobs on set, and I think we need to, do something outside the system besides this employing. I mean, I will make one film or two films in a year. And I can employ only so many people. I can be only this inclusive. I think we need to, make a larger move towards building that inclusivity and widening the scope of work.
So let's talk about the larger move, right? Aparna, you talked last year about intentional inclusion. That Amazon has a playbook for diversity and inclusion. You yourself personally make sure there are women in the writers' room, there are women HODs. Is there a world in which we can extend this? Get unions involved, get guilds involved. Say that it's required. It's a mandate to have intentional inclusion on film sets, in studios. I don't know who does this. Whose onus should it be to lobby for this?
I think we are being very, very intentional, and because just good intentions also are nothing, until they're actionable.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned the last time, it's a mandate for us to have women in the writers' room. And now I feel the resistance is also gone. There was a lot of resistance from men earlier. No, but where are the women writers? I think that's gone. So we've really achieved and reached a good place. The next thing that we are trying to work towards is at least 30% women as HODs on all of our productions. Tall order, but we are going to work towards it. I agree with Alankrita. It's generational. It's very, very difficult. Sometimes, when you start talking about cinematographers, there are so many women cinematographers
in that guild. In that guild,
so many.
yeah.
But it's an action show. And there's a lot of underwater. There's a lot of physical running around. Will women be able to do it? Yes, they will be able to do it. I think we need to be intentional about that, about breaking some of those myths. And I feel sometimes making it mandatory is important. It's important. You have to make it. Because if you don't give them the opportunity, if they're not being ever trained, we'd never find the right women for the job. So I think it's really important to make some of these as important guardrails.
How would we do that? Would the Producers Guild be the people to lobby?
We are doing it at our level for all of our productions. Our production team now goes through the entire list and sees here can we find another one, and not to take away the jobs, but how can we be more inclusive? How can we be more diverse? So we are trying to do it intentional. I guess that would be the next step, working with the guilds.
But Zoya, you would think that this is in some way a sort of curbing of freedom.
I mean, yes and no. It depends. My sets are completely balanced. But I think more than forcing someone, I think if people understand that diversity makes your work better, they'll get it. Like I don't hire people, women. I'm not inclusive for people because it's a charitable thing to do. I'm inclusive because it makes my work stronger. It adds perspective that I may not have. I mean, okay, do I want to be on a set that's only women? I don't think so. Do I want to be on a set that's only men? I don't think so. I don't think the best thing will come out of it. Their opinions, takes, attitudes, and I don't just mean gender. I mean all kinds of people, sexuality, different cities, classes, castes. You come in with, and I have a very open relationship with my crew. Anybody can come and talk to me. Anybody can come and give me their opinion. Everybody reads the script. Everybody says what they feel, and it's made my work better. So I'm greedy about it. And I think if people understood that they are selling something, they are telling this, they're not just making a story for men, they're making a story for the entire society. And if that entire society can give you a little feedback, it'll only make you better.
Yeah.
So
So it's actually smarter.
it's smarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's smarter.
But I also agree with Aparna when she says some sort of affirmative action is necessary to bring about a change. Because mindset change will happen only if you see things happening before you. And that
हंसल अगर
mandate-
ये 2% पे चलते कि मेरा तो बुढ़ापा आ जाएगा, हम सबका बुढ़ापा आ
Exactly.
जाएगा.
So that's why some amount of affirmative action that okay, itna आप रखो.
हाँ.
That while you might find it limiting initially कि यार ये क्या है कि 30% female representation होना ही चाहिए आपके टीम में. You will cross that barrier. But to have that at the back of your mind, especially in a place where we live in a very patriarchal setup, in a mindset which is very, very skewed towards the male gender, I think some level of affirmative action, some level of enforcement is necessary. I very strongly believe, we need to do that. It will be uncomfortable initially, but doesn't matter. It's like, posh guidelines. You have to follow them. Those guidelines are necessary. You feel that, this is an imposition, you should not be having anything over you. In an ideal situation, it should not be. But we are not living in ideal times. We're not living in an ideal country.
Yeah.
It also can't be that men hire men or women start hiring women, because then you're not gender neutral. Then again, we are creating those strong divides. While there were films which were always written for, men in lead, response to that can't always be now women in lead. There need to be characters who are men, who are sensitive, who understand the femininity, who understand the space of, promoting their wife, for example, a character who's so sensitive to the mother or the daughter or the sister or whoever the other characters. Maybe the other women in the film may not have that kind of role. Again, what is the measurement? It's not the screen time. It can't be, it might just be a male-led film, but very, very pro-woman. So will it still be tested as, but the man is taking the lead? I'm just saying that we need to
You can't be prescriptive about it.
Yeah, we can't be prescriptive. But I agree that it has to be intentional when it starts. At that level, slowly the lines will blur at some point in time. If Vikram wants to hire a women cinematographer, I don't even know if he would know how many of them are there and what work have they done, because ultimately it boils down to the work. So do we need a platform where women cinematographers start showcasing their work? Like Geomami happens, for example, films which are shot only by women, so that directors can come and see that this was done only by women. So that next time he's looking for, he would think beyond those two names, which we all know, right? And so intentional, yes, but at the same time, it's a creative industry. It is not to promote one versus the other, because we'll remain there only. If we need inclusion, it'll start at intentional level, but that I just feel that it should not curb the creativity in gender.
See, the idea, I feel, eventually is to reach a point where we're not discussing gender.
That's right.
Exactly. We should not be discussing gender.
Yeah.
But to reach that, I do feel that most of us everyone in fact sitting here is just very progressive, but there is a huge section that's not.
No.
And
I kind of agree with Hansal sir on the fact that maybe that intentional 30% or whatever, 50% is still not 50%, right? So it is still gonna help in some way because there is a huge section that is still very patriarchal where a male opinion also matters a lot more than a woman's opinion. And I've seen that around. So it happens. It's a mentality. Yeah. And it's difficult. Sometimes it's, you might just have a woman who's probably equally talented, but your dhyan goes towards the guy that, acha, maybe he's had more experience, so let me go for that. Instead of giving chance. So it may not happen here, but it happens in many other places.
No,
So
listen,
it will help
that's
to a large
what,
extent.
that's what the numbers are saying. And this includes, which really kind of threw me, marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this report also looks at how much do women talk in trailers. In the 2022 report, men talk 3 times as much as women in the marketing, in the trailers. And 2023, it's exactly the same thing. The change is just notional. So you're not even, it's irrespective of what the film is about. Men just get more time.
How does one change the mentality that Kriti is talking about? Because that section of society, whether it's film industry or any other industry, it's going to operate like that. But when men like Hansal and Vikram or Neeraj, like last time, when such male directors come into the same space and they start being intentional about it, like he mentioned that, the UK crew was all women. Here, women won't even know that there are such opportunities for them. How do we make them aware of that? The film school women are not going to come to hold a boom, right? But like how, say, overhandled, there were only drivers, male drivers, and somehow women came in the workforce and it was made, aware that, you can hire a woman. How do we, let it out there in the open that you can come, be the spot BB and not spot Dada.
See it to believe it. And that is why when you start hiring,
Yeah.
and a film crew is of almost 200 to 50 people.
Right.
When they see it, it goes to other sets.
Right.
Others start believing in it. So it's really important to be intentional and
I agree.
and start hiring like that.
Yeah.
And also, creating awareness of the opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
The wider range of opportunities that are available. We are not
Because
doing enough
currently
of that.
costume is actually women HODs, right?
Yeah.
A big
But a lot
production
of
design
design
is also-
But a lot of
Some of our shows, no,
Is it?
it's meant.
I mean, I
work with
we-
Ajinkya scene a lot. So I mean, my
Yeah,
shirt is
even mine,
completely
yeah.
off.
Even my manager on the set,
I'm like,
has
covered in
seen
it.
that
it's correct.
it's been a really good number of women out there. But in certain departments, there are no women.
Yeah.
How do we
Yeah.
get
See,
them
certain
there?
departments, like we said, light men were women.
Yeah.
The fact that we're saying light men, there are no,
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's just so it's so
wo
fixed.
lagta hai ki, acha, this is supposed to be a man's job.
Right.
So
Right.
that has to be kind of normalized, but it's
But
not.
there is Etal Dedia. She's a gaffer. She's but she also was born into it. Her father was Mulchand, who is a very, very, very reputed, very good gaffer. He's worked with every international DP, every DP in India, and he owned this lighting house. And she started training with him, and she's a proper, experienced gaffer.
But we need
And,
to put that out there. That like
it is
Ethel,
out there.
we
She's
need
out there.
you
She's
know,
working
like
with
her.
someone
There is we need there is an opportunity for many more women
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
what Ethel is doing.
Yeah.
Many people know that there's a job. That gaffer is an actual profession. It's something that you can do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You don't need to be operating the camera.
But that could be interesting for you to
look at.
But that,
To look at
the
the job.
mindset, isn't there also a mindset thing that one has with the industry, like especially when it comes to lighting, when it comes to gaffers and that kind of stuff, is the fact that, or productions, for example, is that there's a tendency for, because they're first in, last out most of the time, they have the longest hours, which makes it the fact that they have to come to the set first, which sort of like then trickles down to the fact of like the 4 a.m. transport, the 10 p.m. transport, that kind of stuff. And automatically you feel like, oh, it's not safe for women to do those jobs.
Correct.
It's not a woman's job.
Yeah.
That mentality needs to change. The whole idea of the fact that which I think already in the industry, yes, at least there is a sense of safety. I don't think safety really is an issue for us in the industry, but it's just, I think to change the mentality of people generally towards how you look at working jobs in the industry, that has to change.
No, they're very safe.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, we've been second ADs and that, or second ADs, and you have to, as part of the job function, you go in when the generator goes in.
Correct.
You have to make sure the cabling is done.
Yeah.
So I've been there like at 4 in the morning. Like you go in there and like you make sure that the guy, but I find it a very safe environment. And I think producers now, directors now really take care of how, women are going home, what's happening. I mean, people work it out.
But the families as well, where they come from, like that.
Yeah, where they come
Yeah, I
from.
think that's the real thing. And also, I feel like, I don't know, that's another step forward, because I think this has also to do with class, whether we like it or not. I feel, and I don't know whether, right now the thing is, for instance, we talk about women being in the lighting department or being, say, spot girls rather than spot boys. Taking this, then is like, I feel like for a producer then to feel, I'm taking the responsibility of so many people going home. I think that is also a mindset. Like
Inconvenience.
Inconvenience. And also like what Vic said, it's also the families being open, which I feel is again a matter of education and understanding that these are respectable jobs and you can come and do them and sort of. So I do feel that nothing operates in isolation. I feel like, there's also a certain dignity of labor in India, which I think is not fully there for blue collar workers. So I think there's also that has to be battled if you want women in every every level of every department. And I do feel there's a very strong connection between, like what you were saying about the trailers or the Bechdel test. When we don't have enough women behind the camera, it is going to reflect in what is being made. And there is a direct connection.
Absolutely.
And it's not only about the writers and directors. It is just different when you have more women involved in every aspect of filmmaking. I think it changed. We don't even know actually what's going to happen when, 50% of like women working behind the camera are, 50% of people working behind the camera when they are women. We don't even know how the form of cinema will change, because right now, everything that we know has been designed by men. Everything that the way we understand it, the way we execute it. So we don't even know, and that's not going to happen in our lifetimes, but the form, I feel, itself will change, because right now we're still working, in like a sort of thing that has been designed, not actually.
The guardrails were set down.
Yeah.
Kriti, you are obviously looking at setting your own guardrails because you've launched a production house now. What is the ambition there? Is it to nurture stories that you are not being offered?
No, I mean, I personally feel like I've always felt very creatively inclined, and whenever I've been on a set, I mean, there was a bit of a perception of, oh, she asks a lot of questions, which also I feel like when men ask a lot of questions, they feel very involved, and when women ask a question, so that happens, But I've always been that curious person. I've always felt an inclination towards other things and other departments in creatively in the film, whether it's music, whether it's, the script and a lot of other things. So I personally wanted to, there are certain stories that you want to be a part of in more than just being an actor. And also eventually to just find stories which you don't necessarily want to act in, but you want to sort of tell those stories in other ways. I also love what, Reese Witherspoon has been doing, where I read some interview or something which was like, post a certain age, post say 40 or whatever, men are still working very, frequently. And women, there are not too many stories being written. So I love the fact that, she's sort of going out there supporting, creating stories and sort of really, really doing well at that, So I feel like eventually I would also want to make films where it is a male-led film, provided I go past a lot of egos, hopefully. But yeah, the idea is to just create stories. Yeah. I don't think I started with a thing of, I want to create stories
For women.
For women.
Sure.
No. Yes, that is one of the agendas of balancing it out wherever I see a difference, wherever I am like, okay, but why is it not happening for women? Create that. That's there. But also just purely making stories and telling stories that you feel personally connected to, that sometimes just getting involved with a lot of writers, and just getting certain stories move forward, sometimes just being a part of it as a producer or as something else can sometimes just give it a little dhakka that it needs. So I feel the idea of starting that was just to create and be a part of more stories, not just as an actor, but in every other way.
Yeah.
And hopefully, whatever we're discussing, it's almost sort of feeling like, yeah, I want to do this. So add that in it.
The film that you're making, your first project, Vikramaditya, is with you and Kajol, and it's for a streaming project. And guys, streaming is the happy news in this conversation. Okay?
For sure.
Yeah, it is. Okay, here are the facts. Female HOD representation, only 3% in the theatrical films, 17% in streaming. Only 34% theatrical films pass the Bechdel test, 58% streaming films pass it, 55% web series pass it. Difference even extends to trailer talk, okay? Women talk only 21% of the time in trailers for theatrical films. We talk 33% in trailers for streaming films, 30% in trailers for web series. So obviously, yay for streaming.
Also, all the streaming bosses are all women.
So, and intentional clearly is working.
It is working.
Yeah.
It is working. And clearly the absence of box office allows for greater inclusion, allows for greater experimentation. But here's my concern. Are women going to get sidelined in theatre? Because now what I'm seeing, and it's wonderful, we all want the 1,000 crore movies, we all want the event films, we all want Shah Rukh as superhero forever. But what happens to women? Is it going to become a space where, I don't know, Juhi, does Pico go, if you're making Pico today, does it go into a theatre, or will they say, pen of a stream?
Yeah, I have thought about it that if Pico were to win now, it would definitely not go on theatre for some time. We would probably go to, in the platforms. And the thing is, what I read recently is that apparently 66% of the total viewing audience is men. Now, if the industry decides that I'm going to cater to this 66% and not to the remaining 34%, which are women, how do you fight that war? Because, numbers, men viewership is more. But is that why cinema is made? The question is that, is it only for the numbers? Are we not creative first and money second industry? I understand banking, finance, all those sectors, it is about money, right? But film industry, should it not be storytelling first? And then how a good story can earn a lot of money. But we are working the other way. That let's see a project is mounted and who will fetch me this, and it's backwards, right? I don't know how to fight that war. I would not be able to sell a Pico today to a producer for theatre. Definitely OTT would look at it because, it's a woman's story. It does, all the tick marks are in place. And as a story also, it sort of was in place. But is there a role for, hope for such films as of now? I don't know really, because
but isn't that awful if Pico would go into, I love streaming, but the fact that Pico would not have a chance in a theatre, does that concern anyone?
Do you think told to me, online that has been told to me that, say Kapoor and Sons or Pico and these kind of films will perhaps find,
see, they're not going to do that,
and not
200, 300, 5,000, whatever.
But
they'll still make money, I think.
Yeah, but
I don't
still making money is no more the requirement.
I genuinely believe it's all cyclical. It's cyclical. And it's going to come back, and the theaters are just coming back.
Yeah.
And once the theaters come back, and these blockbusters are very important.
Yeah, of course. Money comes back
very
to the
important.
industry.
The money comes back, the economy changes, and we should be celebrating and super happy.
Yes,
but everything has run.
Yeah.
The foreign films have worked. Rocky Rani worked. Zara Hatke Zara Bachke worked.
Gadar to work.
Gadar 2 roared. Jawan is flying. I mean, everything is working.
I know, but you're right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the money is going to come in. And see, you have to understand that there are only that many actors that are saleable and bringing you that buckaroo. So everybody else will go for stories, and those films will be back in the theater, and it will happen.
Yes.
There's been a change, and it's going to. I mean, this same conversation
3 years from
happened
now might
when
be
television
different.
happened,
Yeah.
when satellite happened, when digital, and nothing has changed the theater experience. So it will happen. It's going to come back. People, we are a cinema going
Exactly. I mean,
society. We like that community
yeah,
experience. And right now, okay, OTT is an option, but soon it'll become both. And I feel even the streamings might start changing their theater, the way they do film. You know, do they release it and then bring it into them? They still fund it. I think it's gonna everything's in a flux. I don't see that.
She's telling us something that's a possibility.
I don't know.
And our intention is to really, really go to our audiences in every possible way.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to just add that we also need strong male allies, right?
Yeah, of course.
We need strong, sensitive, creators who are writing incredible fun, hiring women. And then we'd not have that problem. Then we won't feel like, oh, what's going to happen to women in theaters?
Yeah.
If beautiful parts are being written, they will be there.
Yeah.
You just started with Barbie.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think what was interesting is that in India, Barbie didn't do that well compared to compared to Oppenheimer, and also it's done so well worldwide. It hasn't really done that well in India. And I personally feel very. I'm really happy that Zoya's diabetes are cyclical, and eventually it'll be fine, because I do feel that it's not just films led by women. I feel alternative films which have a slightly different voice, which are not fitting into that thing, they should have that community space and community viewing. It's like telling schoolgirls that girls can study at home. You can be homeschooled, but you can't go to public school. When you say that certain films should be meant only for private viewing and certain films should only be in the theater. So I do feel like it should be a more equal space. But we have another problem, I feel, which is there are not enough theaters which actually promote smaller films. There's ticket pricing. So I feel every time we talk about something, I'm like, there are actually so many other issues involved.
Yeah, but there's also the industry. There's also validation. You take any studios in other countries, they make your big tentpole films, but they will make those artistic films because those are the ones that will get them the Oscars.
Absolutely.
Those are the ones that are in the award race.
Yeah.
So then that gets you a visibility. Here, if you're going to award the blockbuster only, even though it has no honest, beyond a point, that level of artistic merit that maybe a smaller piece has or another performance has, then there's a problem there, because some kind of validation also has to come back for people and studios and producers to make that money, because yes, we are creative, but it's too expensive a medium to be creative.
Sure.
It's a business and you have to be able to balance it out in some way.
Yeah.
I also feel, why not on Gadar? I mean, you have 60 plus heroes, 58-year-old heroes. The ageism, there's so much of discrimination in terms of age. Okay, you don't have an older actor. Give an older give Kajol a Gadar.
I was just
Going and pulling out the hand pump, doing that. We don't have those films. We don't have those films to pull the audience in. We don't have enough faith in seasoned actors that we've had. We write them off after they've crossed 30.
Yeah.
We don't give them, we don't write enough for them. We don't see them as feasible. Suddenly they are unfeasible after a certain age, and men continue being feasible till they're alive.
No, but even in that, the thing is that when we're talking about theatrical versus streaming, yes, there's a lot of women-led stories in the streaming world, but if you look at theatrical, it's back. But why can't, and this has been a problem not now, this has been a problem for many years in our industry, why can't Deepika be the lead on Pathaan? Why not? Why can't it be a film about a woman? Why not? And I think studios especially and producers need to start pushing that. A Barbie is made today, and because a Tomb Raider was made many, many years ago with Angelina Jolie in the lead. In fact, is that there has been, at least in Hollywood, a sense that a woman can lead a genre film a proper tentpole film can be led by a woman is what has brought you to here to where you are, at least in Hollywood. Even at Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's a woman hero in the film.
Yeah. And
But
made a
that's
lot
not
of
happening
money.
here at all. It's not even a question of like a little bit. It's not happening at all. Our tempos are not women led at all. That needs to change.
While in the past few years, a lot of films on women characters have come in. There's Gangubai that did well and all. But what happens is, and it's a bit of a circle because the male-led films are budgeted and positioned in a very larger than life, grand scale kind of format. And they end up earning that money. And I feel like someone needs to really take the front and the risk on positioning, or like he said, a female-led film on that scale. You know what we call heroism?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a male word, but whatever it means, I think that is not really shown that convincingly on a woman character. You always kind of show it smaller, you know, the entry and all. When you see RRR, you know, when you see like Ramcharan and their intros, you know, when you see them do stuff that they do, it's aspirational.
Yeah.
And I feel when we make a film based on a woman character, we kind of limit it in terms of either we get scared of what it's going to earn, not earn, and we sort of limit the positioning and the aspiration value of it. And maybe that's why it doesn't end up earning that much money. So it's
never
kind of
pitched like that.
circle.
Yeah.
You know, so it needs to be, someone needs to take the risk of, okay, I'm gonna position it and show it like, you know.
True, someone has to right at the start.
Bansali does that all the time. And he does that with women. He does it all the time. And he does very strong women-led characters, and he mounts them exactly as he would a male-led character.
He's the only guy.
Just that he's only one.
He's the only guy who mounted some big films.
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I can, if I go to a studio, that kind of film, the first thing they tell you is that there's no recovery. You know, let's see how much the digital platform gives you. So that is the budget of your film. Theatrically, you're going to do nothing. I'm told that before I even begin.
But a lot of the times, I'm sorry, but even the actresses don't want to do it.
They don't want to be heroes.
No.
The
first question they'll ask you is who's the guy in the film. So, yes, I'm sorry, but of course.
And I'm
Of
going to
course.
second Zoya. The number of actresses who have said no to me.
They don't
is
want to play leads. They don't want to
insane.
carry the burden. They don't want to film with them. Sorry, they don't, it's not just one way. They themselves are apprehensive. And they rather be in a big hero-led film and be there than carry their own film. They're very few.
No, I think it's systemic because they
But like,
feel
why
that
I would doing a spy universe with Alia leading it?
Yeah.
But she has, Vidya Balan has. They've constantly gone out there. But I mean, my experience, and I'm a filmmaker and I'm on the other side, I don't know. With you, a lot of the times the actresses are like not interested themselves.
But if someone's saying, I'm going to mount it and this much price and blah, 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 why would you not? Like, more than half the time, like, sometimes people come to me with, like, an action film. I'm, like, really excited. But then I hear the budget and I know it's going to look small. It's not going to be as great. Then I don't even know whether I should go ahead with that or not. Because what you're explaining is actually massive, but that needs money.
Yeah. So, Kriti, you talked about the crew, right? Now that's you, that's Karina, that's Tabu. I mean, you'd think there would be a line of people waiting to finance this, but I did an interview with Ria and she said for 3 years, she could not raise money for this film till Ekta stepped in and then it all fell into place. Like, I don't get it. How can you not find money for a project which is, to me, instantly sexy? It's got Diljit as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm in line that first day to watch this film, right? Why would you not
Sisterhood
find money?
took another woman to see the potential of
Absolutely.
a women-led.
But Aparna, why won't we find money for a film like this?
I find it strange because, you know, on our service, I can say that a Jubilee, a Fuzzy, a Tahar, a Made in Heaven, you know, all work. So I think it's to do with the economics. We have to constantly put it out that women-led subjects are economic. They
Are
make
business.
sense. They make business sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, also I just wanted to add one more point that it's not just about male-led big films. It's about those films failing the basic rudimentary Bechdel test.
Correct.
you can have a male-led film, but you have to at least write strong women in that male-led film. How can you not do that? That I find. How can you not have a crew of 200 people? You can't have enough women as HODs. That is what I find really painful.
But okay, let's talk about these writing characters, right? All of you, Alankrita, you too, Hansal, you've all created such incredible female characters in this year, in all the series you've done. What happens when it becomes theatrical? What are the conversations? Obviously, not in stuff you're making, but what are the conversations you hear? Why are women not written better, as she's saying? Like, what does it take to write a
Better writers.
okay,
mindset.
You step in here and defend.
I'm there to write. Juhi has written some of the most beautiful, sensitive men on screen. I say.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Pico has such beautiful men.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many actors today would say that let me do part of Rana, because it's a small role. It does not bring them that kind of glory. But he did it, and it's always post you see, what a wonderful role. But at that point in time, even for Vicky Dona, honestly, everybody, all big actors had said absolute no to it.
Even on my show Scoop, it's written by Mrungai Lagu,
Of course.
who writes really good female characters. She wrote Thappad.
Yeah.
So Mrungai, the character that Zishan Ayub played, which became very popular later. And Zishan really broke out. People really liked him. I want a boss like this. And nobody wanted to play that character because he was second fiddle on paper to Karishma Tanna's character, to a female character. The entire conflict was centered around Karishma, around that character. So nobody wanted to play that. And then I had to sort of pick up the phone, tell Zishan, yes, Zishan, do it for me.
Really? But
Yeah.
this is an issue.
I had to do that. There's a lack of equal opportunity in general. We live in a place where there's a lack of equal opportunity. So Zishan did not. I had to struggle to find somebody for that. There's a list of actors that the studio recommended, the casting director went to, that I called. He said, "Nahi, not this, not this." Nobody wanted to play that part. I mean, Harman Baweja's part. Nobody wanted to do it. It was 5 days of work. And I said, it's not the length.
But that's good because he was so damn good.
It was good, but you see, nobody wanted to play it. Nobody wanted to play it. Nobody wanted to be part of that. So, and I was constantly told that, you're not getting enough padding.
Paddy.
Padding. It's called padding. You've taken this chance, this punt on Karishma Tanna, who's been in TV and, not really popular. She's done some reality show. So you need padding. It was a struggle because the streamer, of course, supported me ultimately because I had a scam behind me. If I did not, they would not have. And I'm being honest about it. This supported the punch that I took. But it was a struggle to even cast for that.
So we're still in a place where men are unwilling to be what they see as a secondary.
Yeah.
I do a lot of my casting work is done by Shruti Mahajan. Every time I'm doing anything apart from like when, for Made in Heaven, except for that, every single thing I've done, she's had to really, what it takes for her to get male cast for my work it's incredible. She has actors telling her if it's Alankrita's thing, I'm not doing it because it's going to be about the women. So it's hard, and I feel that is a big difference between the West and here, because I think in the West, even super successful male actors will play a smaller part in a film that is led by women, and I don't really see that happening here. They're not even like really big.
Except for Bansali. All exceptions are Bansali. You have
But
a
very-
rape gun in a Mumbai.
Yeah. But it's that spirit of, and that's why when Aparna was talking about we need good male allies, it's also male actors willing to step in to do those parts where the story is not about them. Women have been doing this for decades. They're always being like, okay, I'll play the smaller part, and the story is about the man. So that thing needs to shift, and I'm willing to do it. And I think that, without that, I feel it's not going to happen, because what Kriti was saying was so interesting, that we want to mount women also as heroes and those whatever big ticket films, but then the male actors also have to be willing to do some of those parts, which is not them being center stage.
Like for me, like Bhedia, when I choose to do it, it was a very small part when you talk about screen time. But I loved the story, and I felt there was relevance to the part. It was just not a love angle or a romantic interest. You know, there was more to her, and I was like, okay, that there was one scene. I was like, for this scene, I want to do it, and the fact that I loved the script and what it said. But I sometimes feel like if it was the other way around, it would have been very difficult to cast that role for one of the, top guys to do something like that. And it's sad because, like I feel just to do something for the film and, whether the screen time is more or less, you can make an impact. And the fact that it's not really, I mean, guys end up giving like 6 months, a year, more than that for a film. So I practically also, it does make sense. I don't know what it's about, but it's sad. It's a change that should happen.
There's a lot. It's even actors. They'll come in there. They'll be like, okay, I'll do it. It's 5 days. Either I do it as a guest appearance and then it's a token guest appearance, and people know clearly that I'm not there. But to do it as a pure supporting part, I don't want you to sell this on my name because it's not about me and cheat the audience. I don't want. It'll just come and go. Nobody's going to care. We have to validate it. We have to create spaces and like it has to be given that respect all around. It can't just be like do it because it has to be given a respect.
I think that's what streaming is doing.
You know?
When Aruna is with Shahid, he shines.
Yeah.
I mean, I do ensembles, like whether it's shows, films. It's taking
Years,
for now actors to trust it, because and I get it. Like I couldn't get a male actor. I had an actor on Luck by Chance who wasn't like a big star, but who told me if you can interchange Sona and Vikram, then I'll do the. I was like,
Why? What's over this when
are you mad? Like,
Meaning what? Make it about the men.
make Coco's role the male, and I'll do it. Like this level. So now I feel because I've done so much work, they are like, okay, she's not going to shortchange a character. Her character will have an arc, and the arc will end, and I'm not going to be cut off because there's a bigger star, because that's not the filmmaker I am.
No.
Now it's taken but that long to now have some trust,
No.
But you have to be validated.
Yeah.
You have to be protected also to do it.
By the ecosystem, which includes film companion, which includes the entire media, everybody.
Yes.
I think the entire ecosystem needs to validate it. You know, it cannot be validated from within.
Yes.
It can't be just 5 of us saying, wow, Zishan was so good. He needs larger validation. He needs greater validation for more people to be empowered to do those parts.
And I have to say, some actors have really done it. Like I think Vikrant Massey, Vicky Kaushal.
No, like Ritik in Luck by Chance.
Yes.
Ritik in Luck by Chance. And he's like taking the piss of himself and he's just yummy. But he did it and he made that film happen.
Yes.
Because of they made that film happen, So yeah. But it matters because it didn't take anything, but you have to get it and you have to enjoy it and you have to have the confidence and come in there and let it go,
Yeah. Well, I have to go back to the last thing that we need to talk about, which is the difference it makes, and Aparna, what you were saying, intentional inclusion, the difference it makes when the HODs are women. Okay, the numbers show when the green lighting authority is female, the number of female HODs goes to 22%. When the person in charge is male, it's 7%.
Oh my God.
So
I think you all should take this.
I was like, I think in the bubble, literally, like, most of my HODs in the last thing I've done, and last 2 things I've done actually, were women. So I don't know, like these numbers, I'm like, well, this is not, and everything, whether it's dealing with an Amazon or a Netflix, like at every level with Amazon, whether it's Aparna, whether it's the PR team, the marketing team, it's been women throughout.
Yes.
So for me, that's my reality. Right?
But this is the larger reality. So
That's what the gap is so huge. So I don't know if there are just that many people outside this room who are doing this. But there is a
That's right.
big
All,
universe
everybody who's following the good stuff is right here.
This is it.
it.
It ends
This
there.
is So, guys, I'm gonna end by asking the same question that I asked at the roundtable last year, which is that what is the one change you want to see? This year with O Womaniya, we've also asked people to take pledges. Just pledging to support inclusivity, supporting posh guidelines, just being a little bit more mindful about what they're doing when they go out into the world. And you know, we've had like tons of very varied filmmakers, Shakun Batra, Gayatri Pushkar, Sid Roy Kapoor, Bahubali producer Shobhu. Lots of amazing people have said, yes, we're going to do this. I feel it will all, the change begins with us. We will all have to go out there and kind of be more mindful. But if you had to choose one thing that you would want to change this year, this coming year, when it comes to gender, what would it be? Kriti, let's start with.
Very difficult to choose one thing with so many
I know.
things we've discussed right now.
I know. Nikhil Advani said, I want bathrooms everywhere. I pledge for that.
I want
For
bathroom.
women. For women.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about. I was talking about like what we just said. I would actually love to see like how he said a Pathan with
Yes.
a female lead
Yeah.
at that scale. You know, or someone willing to take that risk.
That's the wish list.
I'm willing to do it.
Just putting it out there.
You're just putting it out there, but genuinely that and just this thing of like some men, especially from our generation, who I believe are progressive, to just go past everything that they feel and just do a role for a role and not thinking, oh, am I leading this? And in a way support films that how we support films. So just that balance a little bit. Some change, someone taking that initiative and making it cool. When you make it cool is when other people also start doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Aparna?
I mean, I've already talked about the fact that I'm really pledging that this year we are trying to ensure that we have 30% HODs as women on all our shows, that our stories are going to be more diverse, inclusive, equitable. And there's one interesting thing that I want to talk about. When we talk about sharing or 30%, it's out of that 100%. That 100 will not become 130. Somewhere it will become 70 and 30. What I've seen is that people don't want to give credit. And that needs to change. So this woman's worked, but you will not give her the credit because I still need to hold that credit also. That needs to change. That 100 is not going to become 130. It's from the 100 that you'll have to share your 30.
So be happier with sharing.
Share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be generous and magnanimous and happy about doing that.
Yeah. Hansal?
I think just creating more opportunities, creating larger opportunities for women, which I've spoken about earlier. I think that this film that I did was eye-opening. I come from a generation that, was very patriarchal. It's been difficult to break that mindset. And I think admitting that, understanding that, and trying to make a difference is important. How many of us even admit that we belong to a patriarchal mindset? I think just that basic admission is important. I want to make that beginning. That yes, I come from a patriarchal mindset. I need to change that. I need to break that.
Nice. Just the admission is enough.
It's important.
It's important. It's a
beginning.
good start.
It's a good start.
Yes, absolutely. Juhi?
mindful writing, honestly, whether it's your male characters or women in the film, it just has to be of a certain mindset, of a certain intentional progressiveness. And I just feel that what people see has whatever little impact on them. Seeing a good male character on screen, maybe the men in the audience do feel a little, they might just question their own, maybe it might just be a wishful thinking, but I do feel that cinema is a very powerful tool. Storytelling is a very, very powerful tool. And I have to use it mindfully. Yeah. At least writing stage for sure.
Alankrita?
I feel, to be very honest, I mean, I think that in all of these areas, I feel I've already been trying to sort of do my best to have more what I write and make, and also in terms of my crew. But I think there are two things which I feel I haven't really done enough about. I think one is definitely trying to see how there can be, which is one big takeaway actually from this conversation, about really figuring out how there can be more women, say, in the lighting department and in the production department, because that's something that I've actually not really even like thought about. And I think Hansal's a pointer on that was very, very interesting. So I think definitely working on trying to figure out some way of getting more women involved at that, in those working positions. And I think for me, the biggest struggle is to battle my own sense of always feeling like I should stay small. I don't deserve it. Like there's always that feeling of you're always so happy with crumbs, and you always feel like you shouldn't get a bigger budget because truly you don't, like it shouldn't happen for you. So I think that is something that I feel a lot of women filmmakers deal with internally, because we have been so conditioned that you just be grateful that you're a filmmaker because it's so hard. There are such few women that whatever little you get, so even if something does well, you don't feel like you can own it fully or be like, you know what, now I want to do something which requires more. So I think that's something that I feel I would want to work on, and also talk to my other, filmmaker friends who also I feel that sense of lack of feeling like they can own a space.
Yeah. Vikram?
We're going alphabetically now. I want to see a Zoya Akhtar film in the theaters. I want to see more films by women, starring women in the theaters. We have them on streaming, but like the theatrical space, my worry is that it's just going to become. It's already happening. It's already been happening. It's already happening. And my fear is that what we're seeing, at least the last 3 blockbusters we've seen, is that it's actually becoming.
Because it's just coming back.
Yeah. I think it needs more. It needs more. It needs a lot more in that sense.
Yeah. Zoya, since you're the optimist, we'll end with you.
I am optimistic, and I think that we are a very diverse audience, and we are a huge film industry. We are the largest film industry in the world, and I think that diversity should come out in our work. I wish producers and actors and everybody starts to see that we need all kinds of films. I wish the herd mentality goes, and it's like, oh, okay, so spy, like everyone should become a spy. Everyone should become Gadar. No, let's make different kinds of films. Let's put films there. And I agree with Kriti. We need to mount women's stories in that way. And we need the women to back us, and we need the men to back us, because the stories are there, but you need those actors, whether it's the big female stars that come in or the male actors that support it, to come in and do it, because the audience is ready for it.
Yeah.
And we are the biggest film industry. We should have every kind of movie coming out in the theater. Every kind. There shouldn't be a single genre we are not making. That's what I want.
Absolutely. And can I just put in a word saying, let's hurry up on Chile Zara?
Yes.
Yes. That would be a fun one, no, Vic, in the theater?
100%.
Yes.
Cannot wait. Thank you, everybody. We will be back next year with hopefully better numbers. But as Zoya said, optimism.
Of course.
We shall persevere. We shall overcome.
Theaters are never going.
I agree with that. No, theaters are never going.
Never.
Absolutely.
Never.
We're just going to go there and cheer for a female superhero.
Yeah. But we all say Barbie. You all have to understand Barbie is a superhero.
Yeah.
Of course. And Barbie is like a rite of passage for every girl across the globe.
Yeah.
So it's a very unique thing, like Barbie is like it won't matter who's in Spider-Man. It's Barbie is a superhero.
Yes.
So and suddenly you've put that out there and everyone's taken their kid to see it. So you just need to do more of that, and
But Barbie's perfection in that sense. That's perfection of also, it's a perfect film, but it's also because it's been written by a woman and a man together. It's so beautifully balanced.
Yeah.
In what it says, is that it's again more of that.
that's a discussion we can have.
Right after.
So separate discussion, post the interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.